Today I'm going to be meeting with Asha. She's the creator of Kula Kitchen, a plant-based line of products that I think you're going to be pretty into. Check it out. Thank you so much for having us in your space today. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
You were saying to me off camera earlier that there are about 24 different companies in this space.
Yes. So this space is it's owned by Coho Commissary. So it's a commissary space that is that holds multiple companies, and a lot of us are startups. So yeah, 24 to 25.
I love that.
And it's incredible. There's so much sharing. This particular kitchen is my favorite because you have enough equipment that you require, spaces like this that we can use, but also the people are amazing.
And more importantly, you can use the space to create.
Yes, so, and you can create. It's really fully equipped. So
I love that.
Love that.
So tell us a bit about Kula and how Kula Kitchen came to be and sort of the evolution of like inception to being in this space.
Oh, for sure. So the beginnings of Kula really brings back to what I was doing. So I worked for a company for 15 years. It was in telecom. It's one of the larger companies in Canada. Yeah. And so I lived in Toronto previously. So this was 5 years ago where I made the move here on a project, launching a new product, as we do. And I loved it. I loved Vancouver.
What's not to love?
Yeah, I mean,
I will take rain over like snowy,
right?
Yeah, any day.
Yeah, look at our environment. It's beautiful. And I also started to notice like some opportunities. I met my husband shortly after moving here. And so instead of moving back, I ended up staying here and expanding our team here. And so in my previous work, I managed people and worked with more around people development, but also on the product side, product development and product launch. And a year later, we were pregnant, and so,
oh my gosh.
Yes.
So then it's like, okay, what do we want our lifestyle to look like?
That's exactly it. And so for me, at that same period of time, I was going through a transition. I would say life transition and transformation of being yourself a little more.
Right.
I think also moving into a new environment does that.
Yeah, you sort of like reflect inwards.
Yes,
And,
a lot more inwards, and you're kind of rebuilding yourself through your friends and community,
and
which
in a
is
new
so
role
important.
as a mother.
And a new world.
Yeah.
A new relationship. And so I gave birth to Hallie, and during that period of time, I had that strong feeling that I was not interested in going back to what I was formerly doing, and just started doing more research. But more importantly, like I started thinking about impact and food. And so with food, moving to Vancouver, I missed some of the food that I grew up on, both in Kenya, where I was raised as a child, and Toronto, which is so diverse. And so I was introduced to various food from different parts of the world. And so someone who shops, I love shopping, especially for food.
Okay.
We'd go to like farmers markets, and I just saw that opportunity to have more options, especially more Afrocentric options that honored where I come from and some of the enjoyments of food and the richness of the culture. And so that's how it started. During my mat leave, I made the planning. Took place. Yeah. I reviewed the business model. Like,
don't you love that we live in a place too that you have that opportunity? We talked about this a little bit before, but like you're in a space where you can just be like, okay, I want to start this thing that means something to me, and we have that freedom and ability. Like, how lucky are we that that's something that's an option?
Absolutely, we're so lucky, privileged to have that opportunity. And so that's exactly what happened. And a year later, we started off a farmers market. Vancouver's and UBC farmers markets. Got our products out, and I just grew from there.
Amazing. Yeah. So when you're putting together your assortment, maybe you can give us a little background on, you have the products, but you also do a couple of other things. So maybe you can let us into what that model looks like for you.
Okay, yeah, so the model is always evolving, but currently we offer catering services. If we're really looking at the most current, with the pivot, we decided to really get through the messaging of why. So one of the main reasons why Kula is community. Food accessibility is a big thing, and I think in this landscape, especially in Vancouver, healthy food may not be available to everyone, and so our goal was to how do we, especially during COVID where many people lost their jobs, your health is put at a place where it's such a high risk of just simply stepping outside and being in contact which is a natural form for humans,
Yeah,
you know, to be. And so like, how do we do
yeah.
that? What we're going to do is offer meal services that can be delivered. It is accessible. And so we wanted to really build that direct relationship.
And I love that it's family style,
yes,
because
it's
so much of
family
it's
style.
very like, you know, meal placed out, and it's great for someone who's, you know, single on their own, but it's nice to bring the family together, because that's the way I was brought up. It sounds like that's the way you were brought up, where like people come together and food is love.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't necessarily be family, but
Absolutely.
chosen family.
Yeah,
you know?
chosen family. Or if you want to have this meal that you can enjoy throughout the week, you can do that. But for myself, I have a huge family, you know, 10 brothers and sisters.
Oh yeah, huge.
Strong
like,
mother.
actually huge.
Very, from one mother who, you know, was a single mom and like raised us through kindness and love and like, you know, while we were not rich, I did not feel poor in any way because there was so much richness that she gave us and a lot of life skills. And so food sharing is a big thing for us. And so one of our lines we say is food designed for sharing. And yeah, so it was just like a no-brainer for us to have those options of having meals that can be shared with others, you know, your loved ones, or for yourself, if you know, if you want to enjoy this throughout the week.
Well, and one thing that I find, our generation, we come from a space where we don't just start companies for the sake of starting companies. We have those like morals, and we have that storytelling at our like nucleus, right?
Yes.
So I love that, and also I love that you guys give back too. So beyond just the food having that kind of heart, I guess, you also give back to the community in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah. I think there's like, you know, this may sound really off, but I remember in January, like just feeling this connection of there's going to be a shift, you know, and for ourselves specifically, you know, you think of January, like, okay, what is this year going to look like? And from the beginning, we knew community was important, and one of the biggest realizations for myself in a space like Vancouver was visibility of the Black community and organizations. I had to dig through as, you know, a newcomer here to find out where is it that I can go to feel even more connected.
Right.
And I got to know some of these organizations, and now there's a lot more of like, you know, there's a lot of lens around what's happening. And so for our part, we're saying, okay, there are some people that are out there with very little resources. Most of them are nonprofits. They're out there amplifying and have amplified forever. But for the first time, there's more visibility, and what can we do?
Right.
We're a very small business company, but we've decided percentage of our sales or profit will go week over week.
Right?
Yeah, so these all the orders and sales that we are receiving, we're contributing 5% into organizations, which we rotate every 2 weeks. And so our goal by the end of the year is like not necessarily numbers, but there's awareness, because as you start building more following, more people are paying attention. So we want to make sure that is directed into the places and organizations that really need it to do what they're
and we're such a conscious
doing.
Buyer now too. It's like, I want to know that I'm not just, I need to feed myself, but can I feed myself and help out? Like,
that's
what I would rather do.
Like share your resources.
Totally.
Whether it's word, you know, like word of mouth is a big thing. And for us, it's as we see growth, that means we can do more. And honestly, in my heart, and like what I'm hoping to see is more of a social enterprise that this builds out to. But at this point, we're just giving what we have, and that's giving energy, giving time, giving all the words,
and that
sharing,
energy and that love
money
goes into the food too, and it's just like,
and there's impact. So when a person purchases from us, they're also supporting this and this and that, and all of that is connected into that community aspect.
I love that. You actually have just like this warm energy about you anyways. I was like, it's nice to, you're a mom, you feel that nurturing, you come from 10, so that's where do you fall in that line of 10?
I'm 6.
6. Okay,
11 out of 11. So they're 10,
okay, so
10
you're dad
siblings.
smack in the middle.
Yes, I'm right in the middle, but I also am like the older sister in Canada. And so it's...
you've got that nurturing side to you by nature. So you guys have the meal planning, you have other products too. So
Yes.
tell us about the actual products that you guys
so we have retail products. Again, a lot more thought and impact. We wanted to make sure our packaging was sustainable, which meant trying to reduce to low waste. So we use jars for our stews and pepper sauces. These are sold in local shops, and our goal is to continue growing that line across Canada. Dream it big to the world.
Yeah, don't start in Canada. Yeah, the sky is the limit with this stuff, right? And especially with access to social media and these sort of things. And there is a lens right now in your community. So how do we amplify that to, as I said, sky's the limit. Like, let's not stop at Canada.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you guys?
It means using our voice, and our voice currently is through, online.
Yeah.
And the reach is incredible, and we've seen just a small fraction of that at this time. But what we're encouraging everyone to do is continue every week, every day, be aware, amplify, but also be aware of your own personal impacts. And, this is where we all learn. I'm learning, and learning, and learning.
And unlearning.
And learning.
Yeah, and then questioning yourself and then relearning. Yeah,
totally. And so it's like impact to animal, to the environment, anti-racism, and just looking at the overall connection of who we all are. And I think if we just start with like the small bits of like these biases that we've had, and some of the this colonization is a big thing. I mean, it's a whole story, but it's part of that impact of where we are and why some of us are more privileged than others geographically. Some of the impacts worldwide. Like, I've been to parts where I didn't understand as a child, but I get it now. Like, these were not accidental. So what do we do with the privilege? And for us, it's like connecting to our ancestors and like, what are the teachings that I learned? And for our team, we are very diverse. We come from, all walks of life, but we bring so much richness into it. And the other thing we did online is we started carrying some of our local companies on. So we are now like a shop, not only for Kula, but we have some of our kitchen mates products are on there, and we're bringing in companies that are owned by BIPOC as well as everyone. Like, there's it's all plant-based. So that's the connection.
Well, you kind of mentioned that a little bit before, and that's a huge part of our impact that I don't think we realize. And yes, the animals, I'm an animal lover. I'm like, how do I align my morals when I say, okay, I rescued my dog because I wouldn't buy, a puppy mill dog, yet what am I putting on my plate? And there was a real disconnect for me there. And that's a way that we're really starting to get into. And my hubby is even getting on board, which is shocking because he is a steak and potatoes kind of guy. So everything you guys do is plant-based.
It is plant-based. Yeah. I'm vegan, my family's vegan, we're raising our children vegan. And this is just looking at kindness. And we don't need animals to survive or thrive. And there's so many ways to live, and it's not new, right? And this is where we say the ancestral connection. Like, so the food I grew up on was, one of my favorites, were considered a poor man's food. But it really, as it evolved, and now it's considered one of, superfoods. And so when I look at that, I'm like, okay, let me list when I started, it was like, what are the foods that really speaks to us, and what is the alignment? All plant-based. And so it's kind of like going back, but also going forward with being more intentional. And I think more and more people are more intentional of how, and it's a journey. Like, we're not here to put anyone down for where they are. We're going to meet you where we are, but we're going to give you more opportunities and options.
Well, and that's just it. And I think there's so much, almost like a shaming that comes along with people being like, well, I'm vegan, and there's a superiority to that. And as you mentioned before, like, it can be very costly to live on those kind of diets. Processed foods, whether it's meat, cheese, whatever, those are very accessible. Sure. So we need to take that boundary out of there as well, or border. And I just find it really nice to hear you say that, because as someone who's like treading into vegan territory, sometimes I'm like, oh no, I'm making mistakes. I'm like effing up, and it's nice to know that, like, okay, every little bit counts.
Oh, for sure. And I think, even looking at shaming, no one's perfect. First off, there's no perfect vegan. No. There's no perfect ally. Right. There's no perfect anyone. No. And so we need to be more open to making those mistakes. I
letting
say,
people make mistakes and correct them on it.
Correct it. We learn. You know, you're gonna learn, and most people are gonna go ahead and do better, but you have to give the chance. Totally. And so that's our motto. Like, mistakes every day. As a leader, mistakes every single day. But I'm trying, and you know, my team is trying. Our people are trying. Where it hurts the most is when there's like lack of openness to change, right? And so as long as someone is trying, like, all you can do is encourage.
And I think that's the most important, right? It's like we're all getting new information every day from different views, whether it's race, whether it's gender, whether it's all these things that might not be our experience, and trying to learn and understand. But if we need to have an environment where, you know, let's have that conversation. And when I'm presented with new information, I'm willing to change my patterns and vocabulary and all these different things. But if I don't know, I don't know, right?
Yeah. So there's a willingness, that's great. And then as a mother, for myself, our family is structured in a place where mistakes happen, but they know that everything is done in kindness. And like, personally, we want to set that stage where they're able to walk in and do not feel othered. They do not feel like they have to explain why they're on a plant-based diet, why their skin is a certain way, why is it different, why do you have more melanin.
Right.
They're equipped with it. But on the other end, I think part of this movement, when we say Black Lives Matter, it means that everyone's lives do matter, but it hasn't been for Black people and Indigenous people. And so as a food company, what can we do? It's like an interesting thing. Like, what do you do? I'm like, well, we all have a voice. So it's not like one particular person holds more weight. And so that's what we're hoping to continue seeing, and
you're hitting the nail on the head.
Opening the space for that,
Yeah, and I mean, I love this because representation is something we talk about a lot. It's something that I think, just by being a Vancouver-based, white, privileged girl, like, I've just done things that were just like, I'm like, oh, why haven't I looked at the way that I structure things? Why haven't I done that? It's not I just kind of took the path of least resistance, where I think we have a job to do when it comes to that representation, because it's not, when my girlfriend said the other day, she's like, it's not that I need my daughter to see Black representation because she's Black. I need white kids to see that Black representation, to say they're heroes too, they're standout too, they're engineers, princesses, whatever it is. But you need that, almost more importantly, for the white privileged people like myself to see that representation.
For sure. And I think all of that is the individuals, and then the systems, right? The systems of education, the systems of, how do we manage wealth? Like, you drive through Vancouver and you see certain neighborhoods and it's outrageous. And then you go on other sides and you can see that major divide by simply looking at it in that lens. But I think it's the sharing of wealth. It's kind of dismantling the system of, there are oppressive systems, right? Yeah. So we look at, the police force and the way it was initiated. It wasn't to serve everyone, right? And so we all felt,
that far down the road
we're
from
not.
Where that was. Like,
it's
we
not.
Have to remember, this is not stuff that was, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. No. This is like 100 years ago.
Yeah. So then you look at that and you see, for example, Vancouver is a stolen land. Mm-hmm. It's not a land that was given, or agreed upon. Right no. This is unceded land, mm-hmm. and so therefore there is a lot of harm that needs to be undone, oppression that needs to be undone, and if we're really going back. And so the police force is a reminder of that protection of settlers versus the people of this land. And so how do we undo the education process of introductions of Canada and specifically Vancouver? And it's telling the stories, it's having these really, really difficult conversations, taking ourselves out of it, not centering, whiteness, not centering, supremacy, but overlooking like, okay, so bring it down to a child. How do you educate them in a way that is honest, but we can do better? And it's through children, it's through the new generation, and so.
It starts with the textbooks. The textbooks need to change. I'm still blown away. My goddaughter's 11, 12. How old is she now? She's 12. She's little, and I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is just, first of all, it's incorrect. It's just lies, and it blows my mind that I love that it's starting to get the attention it deserves. But honestly, this is like the beginning of the.
It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning of undoing, centuries of oppression.
Yeah, and it's having these conversations and saying, look, this is why it's written this way, but let me tell you what really happened.
Yeah.
But it's like.
But here's what we're doing about it, and this is how we could do about it, and that's the conversation that more of us need to have.
Yeah.
And be open to making those mistakes because
because we're way ahead of our parents. Yeah. But like, I hope my kids blow me out of the water. Absolutely. Like sometimes my dad will say things like, "Oh no, Dad, like that's not the word we use. That's not the," and it's an education process. I'm like, I can't wait to hear what embarrassing things I'm saying still to this day that my kids are gonna be like, "Mom, you can't say that,"
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good. I'm looking forward to my kids being better than me.
Definitely. They will.
We're on track.
I know my children are already like they learn really quick and. I don't know where I was going with that. But
you know what? That's what I love about it. This is what I love about these conversations. Like, we're here to talk about the food, but it's the love that goes into it. It's the thought. This is more than just like a jarred stew.
It's food justice. You know, I was never able to point it to that, but recently I just started listening to and looking at what you're doing and being more aware and with your intentions. And it is food justice, and it's a big thing. It affects us globally. And I think COVID really changed things for everyone. When you see how we consume, toilet paper being like the number one thing that ran out, like how and why, but it also speaks to our society and the way we consume, and how thoughtful are we of everyone, right?
I know, it blows my mind.
I can go on and on about this, but
I know.
I think
but it is about the food,
it's about the food, and the food is. It's not only delicious, we were very intentional making it plant-based, and it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you're going to take us through a recipe today.
Yes, we're going to do a recipe, one of my favorite recipes.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the chat. That was great.
Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick demo of one of our favorite foods. My sister and I enjoy it, and my mom pretty much this is a staple. Imagine a salad. This is what we would have all the time. We call it sukuma wiki. And so it involves, it has collard greens. I'm going to use mushrooms today to kind of add more of the meaty texture. Spices. So we've got spice blends.
So what do we have here spice-wise?
Okay, so we've got our some more of East African spice blend. So this is a chili powder and a red version. Cumin and cardamom. So oftentimes this is our staple of spices, and it's used in so many various ways. The cardamom is my favorite because it can go into both savory as well as sweet. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So we make these little mini donuts called mandazi, and they have cardamom in them. And that incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah, incredible. But yeah, it's very flexible. So we're just going to use a little bit of oil today.
Well, what I love about this, you guys, with it being all plant-based, the common thing everyone with plant-based, there's not enough iron, there's not enough protein. You're saying iron packed.
This is one of the most high iron rich vegetable. So any green leafy veggie is great, but the collards are the best, and also they grow year round. So what I'm going to do is just toss that in. When I say it's super easy, it's amazing. It's just so easy. So I'll let that wilt a little bit, and then we'll add some spices, and we'll be set. So my sister here, Khadija, is just showing the prep of chopping collards. You can
just roll them up first.
Yeah, you just roll them up. Yeah, if you want to do it again. You could de-stem them if you want. We like to use all of what's there.
I like that change in texture too.
Yeah, no, it's also really great. It's crunchy. Zero waste.
Zero waste.
So low waste on
you guys have every
everything.
box ticked here for my heart right now.
Being connected, right?
Yeah.
I mean, also you can use collards as wraps. It's another way that I love to enjoy. Steam it a little bit. Put anything that you like in there. So instead of using lettuce, for example, you could use, and it's so much more durable. And yeah, just fold it.
Do you steam them a little bit?
We steam them a little bit. Personally, I don't sit well with too much of the raw veggies, especially collards that are much thicker. Yeah. So just steam a bit, and you can use it as you like. So we got into. In our household, we started growing our vegetables. My husband is really a great gardener. That's what he loves to do on his spare. Not as well here, but he these collards are from our garden.
Well, I love the story you mentioned about it.
Yeah.
Like the shape and...
Yeah, it's really amazing. But yeah, so this collard, for example, you can enjoy as a salad, but you can also enjoy it with one of our favorite dishes, ugali, right?
Oh yeah. Nothing like ugali.
No?
Yeah,
what's in there?
You want to talk about ugali?
The texture is very, what would be the word?
Yeah, it's basically a doughy. If you've had polenta, it's imagine more of a East African polenta. So we would cook it slowly, boil it in water, cornmeal, and just continue to stir until it gets.
Was like the fufu.
Yeah, that's like a fufu basically. It's the East African version. We've had many conversations of fufu versus
Yeah.
ugali, but it's it was considered a poor man's food, poor person's food. We like to say poor woman's food, but it is
But
high
having
in
that
nutrients.
access to, it doesn't have to be
Right.
cheap processed,
No.
plastic basically.
No,
it's
it
not
does
even
not.
food at that point.
It does not need to be that, and so yeah, you literally
It's
stir this
nourishing,
up.
it's quick,
And it wilts quick enough.
And you're doing this one with avocado oil?
I'm using today avocado oil. You can use olive oil. Coconut oil is great as well. Any oil you have. A dash of salt. And I used a bit of everything that we have here.
Okay, I'm going to have to try this.
Yeah. We're going to definitely get into this. We'll get
I'm
into
going to
this.
need to have a little taste.
We'll get into this in a moment.
I'm a veggie girl.
Yeah. You gonna give it a try? Yeah.
Those
I love and mushrooms. I mean,
Yeah.
but really you can use anything else or just the collard greens. But yeah, in a couple
So
of
is this
minutes,
something
it's
that you
set.
guys would have in one of the meal preps?
Yes,
Or what do we
yes.
usually find in that kind of?
Yeah, so our meal preps, depending on the week, collards are always on the menu. We also, one of the things we decided to do is we'll get questions like, where do I get collard greens from? I don't know where to get them. So we carry them. We will sell directly to our customers as well.
Even with the fresh stuff?
Yeah, fresh collards and plantains, because those are two
Oh
two ingredients not everyone knows where to purchase. And so that's the other part of accessibility. Our goal is really to share any plant-based staple that we love that not everyone may be able to access easily. And
It's not something you can necessarily just pick up at Save.
right, it's not everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not everywhere in Canada.
I love that.
So yeah,
Oh my gosh, it smells so good.
I'm gonna just like drizzle a little more of this beautiful oil, and we'll just turn it up a little bit. When it changes color a little bit to more of a brown, like it's a greenish brown, that's when I feel you can enjoy it at this point.
Right, but that's your optimum.
That's where we like to really enjoy it.
Okay, we didn't plan to wear all yellow today, but we all like
Oh, we're yellow.
coordinated.
Oh,
Let's
yes.
go. Got a little apron, got the little
Favorite color.
sunshine.
Yellow, 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 yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
Brighten up
I
this
love that.
beautiful day. But yeah, this is it. This is
Okay, I'm gonna
literally
need to
the
try
way.
it. Is
Yeah,
this
we'll
nice?
get a
This-
plate. There's a plate over there.
Right here, like
Yeah.
right.
Amazing.
Pick
Thank you.
that up. There's the fork
Let
here,
me just do a little.
chef style. She's like, I have to make it just right.
It's gotta be perfect. You don't have to. I want to make sure your experience is at its best. I think we're all hungry. This is gonna be
Yeah, I'm
it.
like,
Let's go. I like your style.
oh yeah, I'm an eater.
Yeah. Turn that off. Yeah. All of that.
It's just so easy.
It's so easy. Like, it's one of the easiest
Amazing.
things to cook. Okay, boom. Get into it.
Moment of truth here.
Yes.
I mean, you can't really go wrong here, but you guys are going to see what a messy
Oh my
eater I
God.
am in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
As I scald myself, that's what it's a lot more like What's the word I'm looking for? Like crispy. Like
Yeah,
this picture.
yeah, yeah.
So good.
I would even have gone a little bit longer, and you'll see it wilt even further. And it's just, but for salad option by itself, this is
That's
it.
amazing.
You have to get a bite of that mushroom, and boom.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Of course.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.